So just 5 years ago, in the fall of 2007, when I came here to Scottsdale Bible Church, I will never forget my very first elder meeting. Our elders are the spiritual leaders of the church. They're the ones who I report to. They are selected by our congregation for 4-year terms to really be the spiritual leaders of our church. And in the very first elder meeting I attended, Barry Asmus, who's one of our lead elders, walked in and had under his arms these floor pads.
And he says, "Ben, these are knee pads. We're going to get on our knees every single elder meeting and we're going to pray."
I think Jamie had been here about a year, if I recall correctly. And at one of our elder meetings, he had called me and said he really wanted to show us all a video.
And I put it in our worship center, even though it was just going to be 12 elders, because I wanted the elders to have the experience of being where we regularly worship and to watch this video on prayer and revival.
And we sat and we watched Dr. J. Edwin Orr, and it was a powerful time.
And it was just amazing. It just took everybody back about the power of prayer.
We watched it and we hit our knees and started praying more specifically for revival in our church.
That night was the first night of many that we were bringing out the pads and just praying for our church and what God had in store for us next.
After that, we broke away as an elder team and had a full day retreat talking about evangelism, talking about outreach.
My prayer time with God personally during that time was one, first of all, of repentance. Realizing that I did not care for lost people the same way he cares for lost people.
Jeff and I were very motivated at that point. So we'd walk up and down the neighborhood and be looking at the houses and think, "Oh Lord, please, could you please grant salvation for these people? Because we care about them. They're our neighbors."
So we began opening our home for people who just cared about prayer and about the lost, that would hear about it and want to join in. We saw people get excited about what their part could be in it, excited about what Scottsdale Bible Church's part could be. So we appointed some elders to draft
a white paper of all things, but it was more than that. It was really our declaration on how we desperately want Scottsdale Bible Church to go from a church that has an evangelism department to a church that has an evangelism culture.
Jamie went back and developed a whole plan of how we can change and how we can become more of that church that we really want to be.
But these buildings are old and the functional obsolescence is showing. And so we hired a group to come take a look at our campus, and they came to us over a couple-day period after they had finished all their work, and they showed us what they thought would be a way to maximize our campus.
When they put some of the initial plans on the table, many of the elders, many of our senior staff were blown away.
My first reaction was, wow, this is incredible. And how neat would it be to see that here at our campus?
As elders, we've been on this journey for a long time. And I want for my brothers and sisters to take the journey with us.
A journey we're calling Compelled by Grace, in which we're inviting the entire congregation to not just talk about how we're going to resource this vision, but even more importantly then, from that, how we're all going to play a part.
Ask God about how He's going to use you and where do you fit, where's your role at Scottsdale Bible.
I've gotten to know so many people in our church and how much they love this church and how much this church means to them and their family, and how it's been such a significant encouragement to them in their own spiritual walk.
You know, it takes time to get one's mind and heart and soul around Compelled by Grace because it's a big vision. But our God is so much bigger.
I'm confident in this. At the end of the day, this is God's vision for our future, setting us up for the next 50 years of ministry here in Scottsdale.
We'll make a dent in this 87% of Scottsdale that's lost and is not going to church. And we will see thousands of people come to Christ, one life at a time.